log. Date 328. Dear traveler, whoever you are, I hope these logs find you well. Something is happening. It's been quiet all of a sudden, but I've had this feeling in the pit of my stomach that something is going on. It's a new feeling. I dread it so. I've only picked up a book or two over the course of this pandemic, I guess. But something is creeping in. Words are being jumbled. Well,
I'm going to attempt to read one volume for you while on record. Strange, you'll be hearing about yourself in this log this time. But to have it on record would help me in future logs, maybe. Let's see, The long day was starting to come to an end. You had been invited to a sleepover that was hosted by your good colleague, Ashido Mina, taking place in her own humble abode. The party was supposed to be fun and games, but you weren't expecting a harsh blonde to make an appearance. Well, that had been hours ago. Everyone took part in multiple activities, varying from games, movies, and karaoke. It was actually kind of fun, until people started to gather around. With the circle that was recently formed with the class on the carpeted flooring, you were sort of nervous. You weren't aware of the game you were playing until someone had spun a bottle. You could only make it out as either truth or dare, spin the bottle, or 7 minutes in heaven. Precisely, it was indeed the third given option. You had found out for yourself when both Kaminari and Kyoka were making their way to the closet that prevailed in the hallway. This game only reminded you of the ash blonde that was seated next to you. You only hoped the bottle didn't land on you when it got to be his turn. The only reason for this was because maybe you had a tiny crush on the male and you didn't want to embarrass yourself. "You should totally ask him out," was what the pink-skinned female said when you first told her. With Mina's always invigorated attitude, she just had to tell everyone. Now that practically everyone knew about your so-called secret, you were trapped in a hole you couldn't escape. You were only grateful that word hadn't gotten out to the obnoxiously loud male.
"How the hell was I even dragged into this shit?"
The said male sneered from beside you, making you flinch and let out a small giggle afterward. "Well, Katsu, blame Mina for that. She is the one who dragged us all into this in the first place. The least you could do is complain less. It sets off the mood." You replied, and in all honesty, Bakugou couldn't find a comeback for your reasoning. He was complaining to you about something that you didn't even have control over. All he could offer you was a flare of his nostrils and turning his head away from you. Even if he didn't want to admit it, you caused a small hue of the pink rise to his cheeks when you ruffled his blonde follicles. Immediately, he slapped your hand away.
"Whatever, dumbass nerd. I don't need your damn touch. It's Annoying.
His childish attitude only made you snicker before you turned your head away from him. He also moved his glare to the spinning bottle in the middle of the circle of teenagers. As the bottle spun, he watched, and everyone watched. Eijirou was halfway relieved when the bottle landed on Toru Hagakure, someone he was close friends with. He didn't mind being in enclosed spaces with the female, especially when the game had no actual and specific rules on what you actually did in the Forsaken closet. They both stood and stalked over to the door once the previous couple's 7 minutes were finally over. Giggles erupted from the circle when a certain blonde had a very visible handprint on the side of his face, probably from being slapped by the purple-haired female. Being the flirtatious Pikachu he was, it wasn't hard for him to be easily turned down by ladies. Bakugou grunted when you elbowed him in the side of his gut to grab his attention. "Katsuki, it's gonna be your turn soon. Make sure to pay attention. Ashido will legit attack you if you don't." Of course, you were pestering him to things he didn't even want to do. This sleepover was supposed to last until the day? Hell, he couldn't even participate in the activities without the feeling of being damn watched by some entity. He was already going insane from everyone's antics, and he hated it.
Just shut the hell up. You don't have the damn right to tell me what to do and not to do. And for your information, traveler, I'm not scared of what some shitty pink alien can do to me.
Ouch. The fact that he spat out your name as if it were a piece of chewed out gum, and with that much toxicity, had you scrunching up your nose and looking away from him. Even if you loved the boy with everything you had, sometimes his attitude left a harsh taste in your mouth. You sighed, shaking your head and only lifting your gaze up to meet the spinning bottle. Whatever, Katsu. Just please don't blow everyone up when you have to go to the closet with Izuku. Katsuki's head jolted up, his eye twitching, and his upper lip lifting to form a prominent snarl.
The fuck?
Everyone stopped what they were doing to look at Bakugou. Then you. They only snickered and continued their previous conversations as the students spun the bottle when it was their turn. A few more pairs were chosen to spend 7 minutes in the closet until it was Bakugou's turn to spin. What you and Bakugou didn't know was that Ashido and the rest of the Baku squad were plotting something very risky. They were probably going to get themselves killed, but did they care? Nope. They only wished for their number one prioritized ship to finally sail, and that was what was going to happen.
Come on, Buck bro! Line up! Spin already!
Eijirou shouted, tossing his arm around Bakugou's shoulder in a buddy-buddy fashion, only to have it shrugged off.
Yeah, Bakugou! Spin! Spin! Spin!
Kirishima's pleading was followed by Mina's own. Soon enough, the rest of the Baku squad and even a few of the other classmates joined in, the brute finally giving in and spinning.
Fucking fine. You guys are lucky the only thing that's holding me back from tearing you guys to shreds is the shitty law.
He seethed, only gaining a sigh from you and a few chuckles from some others. Everyone watched the bottle spin, and Ashido leaned in, making Bakugou flinch as she stopped the bottle with her hand. And, oh god, it was pointing towards you. Your face suddenly flushed a deep color of red, Bakugou soon following suit. Everyone but you two cheered and clapped. You and the ash blonde shared side glances before turning away from each other in utter embarrassment. Mina had that damn sinister grin etched onto her pink skin, knowing the smile all too well. You shrunk into yourself, not wanting any more attention drawn to you. She had planned this. She wanted this to happen. She wanted you to be embarrassed. How did you not notice any sooner? She was the one who suggested this game and knew of your secret. You hugged your pillow against your chest, completely oblivious to the profanities and protests flying out from Bakugou's mouth. He was fuming embarrassment.
That's not how the damn game works, Raccoon Eyes! You cheated, and you fucking know that! There's no way in hell I'm doing this.
Oh, but you have to, Bakugou. It's the rules. Whoever the bottle lands on, you have to spend 7 minutes in heaven.
Mina tried persuading him into doing what she said, but it only flared his emotions even more, especially when she started singing.
Bakugou and Traveler sitting in a tree. K-I-S. Ow! Bakugou, that hurts!
Shut the hell up, Pinky! Stop singing that shitty song! I'm not going.
It was utter chaos. With the two childish teens arguing back and forth, various snacks were passed around whilst everyone watched.
I'm not doing it!
Yes, you are, Blasty!
No, I'm fucking not.
Suddenly, he was silenced by the tap of your finger on his shoulder. He looked over towards you. You looked back at him. Bakugou swallowed one of his last nerves from bickering with the pink alien before speaking.
What do you want, lizard?
Despite the rude nickname he gave you, you forced a small smile. As much as you hated the idea of embarrassing yourself in front of your crush, his procrastinating wasn't going to make anything better.
We should just get this over with, Katsu. It's not like it's the end of the world.
Tuh.
Your judgment only gained a scoff from Bakugou. Clearly he wasn't happy at all. First, he was dragged into this. Second, he was being forced into a closet. Today was just not his day. He crossed his arms, his palms sweatier if they weren't before. You two had a small staring contest before he sighed and stood up from his seat. Surprisingly enough, he held out a hand for you to take. And you gladly did just that.
Thanks. I guess.
Whatever. I'm only doing this because nobody will listen to me.
The short walk to the closet felt longer than it needed to be. You both felt all the eyes of every one of your classmates on you. Bakugou grumbled, and you sighed.
Sorry.
You apologized, not because you truly felt sorry, but you felt as if Bakugou needed to hear something along the lines of just that.
Why are you sorry? You didn't do anything?
It was worth a shot. Walking in the closet, Mina quickly shut the door behind you two and locked it from the outside, thus making Bakugou scoff.
You guys get 7 minutes. Don't do anything you'd regret, Boom Boom Boy.
The adorable nickname made you laugh, causing Bakugou to growl at you to resign from laughing at him.
Oh, come on, Katsu. It's just a name.
It's a fucking terrible name.
You huffed, crossing your arms against your bust. A few seconds of silence flew by, soon being broken by Bakugou's gruff voice.
So, dumbass. What do we do?
Even with the frown that was present on his features, it actually sounded as if it were a genuine question, which instantly had you responding with a sassy rear, just to piss him off.
What we do is spend 7 minutes in this musty, dusty closet.
He turned to look at you, his eyes narrowing and his frown deepening. Even if you were joking, it made him upset about how you didn't actually answer his question.
I know that, lizard brains. I'm not fucking stupid. If anyone is stupid, it's you. Now answer my damn question.
You two had never gotten along since the start of high school. But right now he was merely doing it to just insult you. You weren't stupid, and he knew that.
I did, Bakugou. Do you really think I know what we're supposed to do? I didn't want to play this game either, so don't come complaining to me.
You shouldn't have said that.
Well, maybe you don't know because you're a fucking idiot. You never know what to do and it pisses me off. And your damn adorable nickname, Katsu this, Katsu that. It's annoying.
Well, you liked the nickname in kindergarten. What pisses me off is the fact you're always a bully. What happened to you? Your inflamed ego has gotten worse, Bakugou.
The current argument had Bakugou clenching his fists into balls. What you were saying was really triggering him, in a way that just wasn't settling right in his gut.
My ego is none of your damn business.
Huh, you think? I say the things I do because I worry about you, Katsuki. You're always yelling at other students and teachers just to blow off steam. That's not right. You need to talk to someone, even if it's me.
Did you know?
His eyes widened for a mere second before he started shouting again. You could almost sense the worried faces of your fellow classmates from the other side of the door. You guys were supposed to confess, but you're arguing.
I don't need your damn pity. Just shut up.
When he lashed out at you, you flinched. Both of you had tears welling from your eyes. Bakugou leaned back against the wall and took a shaky breath when he saw the salty tear roll down your cheek. He felt bad, and he didn't know why. He didn't know why he had these feelings for you, and when he came to the conclusion that he liked you, he denied it.
Look, Traveler,
He got the feeling he was being watched again, as a chill ran up his spine. He sighed, ignoring the uneasy feeling in his gut. He leaned forward, only for you to flinch.
I'm not going to hurt you, dumbass.
With that, he caressed your cheek with his palm, wiping away your tears with his thumb. The gesture itself was enough to bring a subtle blush to your face. He was being so nice.
I'm sorry.
Katsu?
What's wrong? Why are you being so gentle? You were honestly curious, but totally oblivious to his own hue of red. You always knew that behind those red irises he was a kind young man, but he never showed it to anyone.
I need to tell you something. Promise you won't hate me though. Don't fucking tell anyone.
With him leaning back away from you, you instantly nodded your head.
You can tell me anything, Katsu. I won't tell anyone. Pinky promise.
You held out your pinky, waiting for him to latch onto it with his own.
Pinky promise.
Yes.
You missed his smile as he connected his larger pinky with your own, slightly shaking your hand before retracting it. As he prepared himself to finally confess his feelings for you, he took in a deep breath. The feeling of being watched was getting stronger. Once again, he shook his head and ignored it. He was probably just nervous, not to mention the students listening on the other side of the closet door.
I like you. No, I love you. dumbass. I have for a long time now. Every day I would deny the fact that I have truly fallen for you. I've fallen for your adorable laugh, your smile, and that shitty nickname you gave me. I get jealous when you hang around or talk about that half and half, or Deku. I was scared of what you might think of me if I told you. You probably don't like me back, but I just hope you...
You cut him off with a snicker, placing your hand over your mouth to stifle the giggles that were trying to escape your lips. Why were you laughing?
Dumbass! Why are you laughing? Do you not...
Dummy! I love you too! I have since first grade.
You have?
Yeah.
The fact that you leapt towards him made him flinch. You wrapped your arms around his waist and he smiled, patting you and wrapping his own arms around you in return. You lifted your head when you felt Bakugou cupping your cheek again. He started leaning forward. He was going to kiss you. But your fantasies were short-lived when a most startling ticking of a clock filled the air. The feeling of being watched resonating even more inside of Bakugou every second. You both looked around. When you couldn't see anything out of the ordinary, you held him tighter.
Katsuki? I'm scared.
He pressed your head against his chest when you flinched, giddy laughter resonating in the hallway beside you. It wasn't any of your classmates' laughter. It was a woman. The thought that Mina's parents weren't in town lingered, causing Bakugou to start sweating. But he didn't want to seem weak, so instead he comforted you, rubbing small comforting circles on your back.
It's okay. We'll just stay in here. Until you feel better.
You could only nod. You heard Bakugou gulp, hugging you tighter and tighter. Even if he had a good grip on you, you two were both pulled away as the tiny enclosed space shook. If it wasn't dark before, it definitely was now. You gasped as you hit your head against the wall, the impact restricting your vision for a quick amount of time. You heard Bakugou groan, as he had also hit his head.
Traveler?
He muttered in a soft tone, making you glance up to face a scared Katsuki Bakugou. The distance between you two seemed to get larger as he reached out to you and tried to touch you for any reassurance that everything would be okay. But the room only got darker until it was pitch black. His eyes widened in fear of losing you, causing him to resort to pounding on the closet door and wall, trying to signal someone, anyone.
Please! Anyone that's out there, fucking help us! This better not be a shitty prank! I swear to All Might!
The sound of your muffled screams cut him off, causing him to look in your direction. Scared, hopeful eyes made him freeze in place as he reached out for you one last time.
Traveler! No! Don't fucking leave me!
Everything faded to black. You were left confused and scared. The blonde was gone. Everyone was gone.
You can't always have
have the time for your perfect fantasies, traveler.
Oh, I don't want to go to your lame reunion party,
You complained, lazily pounding a fist on Bakugou's back with an exasperated sigh.
Plus, you ruined my binge listening to my favorite band and me grinding on my game.
Bakugou scoffed.
First of all, my quote-unquote party isn't lame. It's better than whatever you consider fun.
He started, making you sigh in defeat and give up on struggling.
Secondly, I don't give a flying fuck about your binging, music or otherwise.
You grumbled a few incoherent curses, remembering how you didn't quite manage to charge your phone before Bakugou threw you over his shoulder. Which meant...
Shut up about your games and music. Be glad I came all the way to take your lazy ass to my party.
Your party? For sure you have some sort of ulterior motive since you're definitely not this nice to anyone.
You countered, your back arching just so you could see the irk on his face, knowing you had figured him out. You might be lazy to some extent, but at least you could easily read the expressions and actions of others, and the one Bakugou made only proved that fact.
While you're sulking that I found out your plan, could you at least put me down first? I'd rather not give Shouto another piece of blackmail material.
Bakugou, although rather disgruntled, did put you down, but still didn't let you leave his line of sight. He knew that given the chance to escape, you would no doubt run back to your room to either laze around listening to music as you worked on various reports for your hero work, or stay up as long as your body allowed you to, as you played video games to level up your character or collect a certain item you claimed you needed. By that reasoning, letting you leave his sights would only prove to be a major setback in his already soured day.
So, what's the real reason you decided to host a reunion party for our high school class? And don't tell me it's because you want to pick a fight with Izuku, because I'm tired of hearing your jealous rants about him.
You asked, flattening your shirt, mumbling about how Bakugou messed it up by throwing you over his back. You were hoping he didn't hear and wouldn't find a reason to bug you, and Shouto, in the near future.
Then I guess I got nothing to tell you.
Bakugou huffed, making sure his gaze never met your all-too-knowing smirk. This made the cogs in your mind turn, like a well-oiled clock, working to tease the blonde.
You're so easy to read, Katsudon. You haven't changed too much since our first years, didn't ya? How convenient for me.
You teased, smirk still on your face, as Bakugou mumbled a waterfall's worth of curses.
This is why I can't stand having you near me, fucking prick.
Bakugou sneered, swatting away the hand that was poking his cheek. You scoffed, playfully shoving the angry blonde to the side as you took out your phone, checking to see if any of the artists or singers you followed online posted anything. Or maybe to see if any of your fellow Deku Squad members knew of the party. Judging by the new group chat that included you, as well as most other Class 1A members from your first year. They most likely did.
So why did you make this reunion again? This time actually tell the truth, since I now know it has something to do with my dear Deku.
You asked, mimicking Bakugou's tone when you said the nickname of your best friend out of your agency.
You saw the hero rankings, didn't you? I'm pretty sure you'll figure it out from there.
Bakugou said glumly, his eyes downcast as he told you.
Is that so?
You said, pretending to think deeply despite damn well knowing why he was mentioning this.
You did this to confront him about the rankings? Again? Come on, Katsudon, you do this every time, except for the party bit.
You complained, tired of how Bakugou still held that grudge against Izuku.
The first year this happened, you drove all the way to his mother's home, where Izuku lived at the time, just to yell you would beat him next time. The next year, you went to Izuku's birthday party to hand him a card that said, "You won't be so lucky next year." The following year, you invited me, Shouto, Tenya, Uraka, and Sue to a sort of laser tag event with the Baku squad. Guess what happens this time? You pin Izuku against the wall to hiss out your typical "I'll beat you next time, just you wait" sort of bullshit. Then shot him. Last year you were acting all happy for him on April Fool's Day. And this year it's a reunion party.
Bakugou was quiet.
Yeah, you're right about that.
He mumbled, making you smirk in victory.
Where's this party anyway? I swear to God,
you hissed out.
I should have seen this coming.
Tuh. You know I don't do things half-assed, so yeah.
Bakugou retorted, rolling his eyes at you.
You should have seen this coming.
You rolled your eyes at him.
I'm surprised Yao Momo let you talk her into this, even more so her home to house the party.
Bakugou shrugged.
I do what I have to.
Before you could give him another one of your signature snide remarks, the blonde walked into a small group of heroes, which you quickly noticed who they were. The Baku squad.
Well...
You yawned, your lazy demeanor returning.
Time to either find the nearest couch or Izuku. Whichever comes first. Hey, Sunshine! How's first place?
Izuku never failed to amuse you when he blushed at the pet name you had given him as second years, and even now his words stumbled over one another.
Wait,
Izuku said, his stutter having calmed down.
Why did you ask me how first place was?
You rolled your eyes.
Katsudon is up to his usual antics of messing with you and bitching about you having the first place and not him.
You informed Izuku, who sighed.
5 years of this, and he still won't give up? He's sure dedicated.
Uraraka mused, giving Izuku a pitying glance.
He should have given up by now, Kiro.
Tsuyu said, looking around the room for Bakugou.
Then again, this is Bakugou we're talking about, so I'm almost not surprised.
I wonder how you and Todoroki managed to work alongside him for so long.
Uraraka said, changing the subject somewhat. You shrugged, and so did Todoroki.
Shouto doesn't really give Bakugou the time of day to worry about his antics,
you explained.
So I'm often the one who has to deal with him complaining constantly about, "I'm supposed to beat that damn nerd," and "Go die, you lazy hero," sort of thing. Shouto has it easy.
Todoroki looked up from his boba. Is he really still like that? I thought that 5 years was enough to grow out of a phase. Todoroki paused to take a sip of his boba. Then again, he is and always was too much like a child for a phase to just pass. You nodded tiredly.
At least I put more effort into growing up than that prick.
You mumbled.
Ochako, where's Iida? I haven't seen him around yet, other than on the news.
You asked, looking at the bubbly female.
He couldn't come today. Sorry.
She mumbled something you couldn't hear, then looked up at you to continue.
He's on a mission right now, but it's more like a meeting from his agency than anything.
You nodded.
Anyways, hey Sho,
you said, looking over to Todoroki. He looked up to meet your gaze, sending a questioning look your way.
Where'd you get the boba?
Todoroki hummed for a second before pointing behind him. The room behind me is the dining room. All the snacks and food are there. Drinks are in the kitchen that connects to the dining room. Just check in the fridge. You nodded, taking your arm off from around Izuku's shoulder to make your way to the kitchen, opening the fridge to search for your favorite drink. And to your delight, you found it after a few moments of rummaging around Dr. Pepper and melon soda cans. You started to make your way back to your Deku squad, unscrewing the lid of your drink to take a sip, but a sudden yelling caught your attention.
I told you I'll be the first, not you!
A voice yelled out. You groaned, knowing damn well that voice was none other than Bakugou. Another voice cut in, but it was Izuku.
God-chan, for the last time! Why can't we get along? We're both heroes, both grown up since high school, yet you still act like this!
You sighed, putting your hand on your temple and placing your drink down on a nearby table.
This is going to be a long day.
Baku bro, calm down! This isn't very manly of you!
Kirishima yelled out, his arms wrapped around the angry blonde in an attempt to hold back Bakugou's sudden rage. You, on the other hand, was standing behind the green-haired hero, an arm wrapped around his waist to prevent him from throwing hands at his childhood companion.
Get the fuck off me, you shark-toothed rook!
Bakugou cursed, struggling in the, fittingly enough, rock-hard arms of Kirishima. Oh boy. That feeling again. You told yourself it was just admiration of how Kirishima would throw himself in the crosshairs just to ensure the safety of others.
No! Bad traveler! Don't think that!
You scolded yourself, pinching your hand to bring you out of your thoughts. Bakugou continued yelling at Izuku, but you paid no mind to it as you calmed down the green-haired hero from his mini panic attack. Kirishima was busy defusing the living time bomb that was Bakugou, mostly by saying how
It's not manly to act so childishly. Don't be like this. This is a reunion party, not an assassination attempt.
among other phrases that calmed down the blonde after many painfully long moments. Oh, I never really liked Bakugou in all honesty, despite what you tell me about him, Izu. You sighed, letting go of the somewhat calmed living ball of sunshine. So that's why I never joined his little band of renegades. Todoroki perked up.
I agree with Traveler. I wouldn't mind being around Kirishima or Mina since they're tolerable and decent as people. But Bakugou is the equivalent of poison ivy. Or more fittingly, a bomb.
He admitted, eyes downcast. You looked to where his gaze was and noticed the empty boba cup. You weren't surprised.
I'm so sorry about him, since even I thought he would have grown out of it by now. I guess I was wrong.
Midoriya confessed, sheepishly scratching the nape of his neck.
I feel so sorry for Kirishima and the others, Kiro.
Suyu bluntly said.
We should do something to brighten the mood, especially after Ka-chan's little outburst there.
Midoriya suggested, and your little group agreed.
Do we get the others, Kiro?
Uraraka jumped up in excitement.
Sure, and let's play a game, like Truth or Dare.
You groaned internally, but your face was as stoic as the jewel-haired males beside you. Why that game? It's so cliché, like what you see in American high school movies. You complained.
Would you rather play beer pong and go to work tomorrow hungover?
You lazily glared at Izuku.
Oh, fucking fine. You know, I have perfect attendance in the agency and I ain't breaking it for that.
You gave in. Shouto turned to you for a moment, amusement glinting in his eyes.
For someone who claims to hate Bakugou so much, you sure do sound like him.
You rolled your eyes at him.
You try dealing with him most of the time when he isn't on missions. Toru, Truth or Dare?
Mina pointed a finger at the invisible hero, who, despite their invisibility, was very clearly blushing and trying to hide from the acid-wielding ball of energy.
Truth?
Hagakure said shyly, her invisible arms flying to cover her invisible face.
Who do you ship in the class?
And this is why you hated playing anything with your old class. You were tired of Mina trying to figure out everyone's crushes, Bakugou daring Izuku to yet another meaningless fight for whatever Izuku beat him at the time, or you getting yourself into an embarrassing situation with your conflicting feelings, and Kirishima. This time was no different.
Can we move on to another question? Nope.
Give up already, you said to Mina, annoyance lacing your tone.
She isn't going to answer, so ask something easier, like which one of us would be the best maid or something. That is not much better, Traveler?
Hagakure yelled out in embarrassment, standing up abruptly to flail her arms around in panic.
It's better than listening to you bullshit yourself out of another question.
Bakugou sneered.
If she isn't going to do shit, dare me something.
Bakugou said, looking at Mina and taking the attention off of Hagakure.
Fine then,
Mina countered.
I dare you to push Kirishima and someone random into a random room.
Bakugou looked your way, his smirk much too devilish for your liking. The blonde stood up, grabbed Kirishima from the collar of his shirt, then went over to you and did the same. You didn't bother to fight back since you damn well knew that Bakugou read in between the lines of your midnight ramblings and found out about your crush on Kirishima, as well as how you never found the chance to confess to the redhead. You also knew this was his payback for you ruining his plans to beat Izuku into oblivion and you teasing him before the party. Typical Bakugou.
Is everything alright, Kiri? You seem panicked about something.
You asked, keeping your distance from the usually bright redhead.
I feel like someone's watching me. Don't you feel it?
You watched Kirishima with worry. He wasn't like this earlier, only once you were left alone with the room with him. You thought for a moment, letting the rambles of Kirishima turn to static in your mind as you analyzed the possibilities. You and him were the only ones in the room, and since your quirk allowed you to sense auras and essentially see the world as a video game, you knew for a fact no one else was there. You also knew that it wasn't because Kirishima was intoxicated, since his status showed he was sober as, well, as a rock. Was there something you were missing?
Forget it. I think I was just paranoid since I kind of am a famous and pretty well-liked hero and all that.
Kirishima said shyly, his usual demeanor coming back to him. You checked his status. Sober, shy, and nervous. Strange, but you wrote it off as your own paranoia.
Yeah, since a lot of pro heroes do get stalkers on occasion.
You said, and your words seemed to calm down his nerves, or at least give him a logical reason for his fear.
Since we're in here for basically as long as the party will last, let's talk.
You suggested. Kirishima nodded and started to list off his most recent missions, ranging from stopping a cliché bank robbery to facing off and taking down a well-known and feared villain. You, on the other hand, were struggling to hold back your blush. Sure, your feelings were better hidden than they were when you were a second year, but you couldn't help but blush thinking about Kirishima in his hero attire, fighting powerful villains, risking his own life to save a few others. After a while of him going on and on about his missions and aspirations to be as great as his idol, Kirishima stopped.
Traveler, I need to tell you something,
he said, determination in his voice. You looked up from where your gaze was stuck on the floor.
Okay. Then just say it.
You said warily, checking his status once again. Nervous. Fight or flight active.
Well, I love you.
It was a nice, normal day, and you were out with Tenya and Izuku after class to train for the next physical exam. Right now, Tenya was showing Izuku how to perfect his kick. You, on the other hand, was sitting on the bench for a small break as you took a sip of water. You watched as the boys were so focused in their training that Izuku noticed you, stalling by the benches, and waved.
"Hey, traveler, you should come join us,"
he said with a bright smile. You put down your water bottle and stood up to join them.
Ah, traveler, you're just in time. I was just showing Midoriya the dynamics of my kick.
He mused as he fixed his glasses across the bridge of his nose and performed the movement slowly, showing the dynamics of the move.
Go on. You should give it a try,
he persuaded. Izuku took a step back, letting you have the floor.
"Yeah, you got this."
Izuku smiled while he crossed his arms. With determination, you gave a nod and attempted the move.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, that was pretty close. Try to turn a bit faster to gain better momentum, traveler,
Tenya commented, while Izuku walked up to you, readying himself to join you. He flashed you a bright smile.
You got this. I'll be right here with you.
Throughout the day, Izuku continued to motivate you, standing next to you and performing the move each and every time. It went on for quite some time like this, a few hours at best, until Izuku, with some strange aura surrounding him, walked off and sat down back on the bench. Both you and Tenya looked at him oddly. Normally, Izuku would be right next to you, performing every kick, supporting you all the way. However, he just sat there, his arms hung by his knees before he looked up lazily at the both of you. He gave a smile and waved the both of you off.
I'm just taking a quick break. I don't feel so well all of a sudden.
Concern laced your voice when you decided to walk over to him and sit beside him. Maybe you should go rest up a bit. Suddenly, Izuku decided to lay on his back, his arm draped over his eyes as if it were to shield him from the bright sunlight.
I'll be fine right here. Don't worry. You should lay next to me, and then we can lay down together. Forever.
Izuku's sudden change of behavior concerned you. Normally, he would just continue to persist and continue to train to better himself. He would also want others to grow along with him as well. But now, he was just laying there and trying to distract you as well. Odd.
Well, you can join Tenya and I when you're ready,
you said with a smile. Izuku once again waved you off.
No, I'll pass.
It was strange. He wasn't tired a moment ago. He wasn't suffering any injuries as far as you were concerned. You decided to walk back towards Tenya, looking back at Izuku once more.
He's acting a bit strange,
you commented as you stood next to Tenya, wondering what was wrong.
How do you expect to be the top hero if you worry about others?
Tenya remarked snidely. You turned towards a taller male and noticed that he had a creepy smile on his face. You froze, looking very worried.
Oh? Is there something wrong, traveler? Did I say something out of turn?
With your brows furrowed, suspicion in your eyes, you took a few steps back.
Tenya? Are you okay?
You asked nervously.
I'm totally fine, traveler. Never better.
The way he acted, responded, and looked at you sent a chill down your spine. It felt fake.
I mean, we are stuck in a hero's game, so let's see how fast someone comes to save you.
Suddenly, you noticed your surroundings, having focused on Izuku and Tenya's strange behavior. The cool, breezy, sunny day that once was gone. At some point, clouds rolled in and the breeze cooled off. It made you shiver. Rain droplets started to fall as you looked all around. This wasn't what you were expecting at all today. What happened? Okay. Let's try something different. You were chilling in your room when suddenly there was a knock on the door.
Hold on a minute!
You called out as you went to your door to see who wanted to see you. The moment you opened it, you saw Toru and Mina. Mina smiled.
Come on, loser, we're going shopping.
She told you as she walked away.
Loser?
You questioned out loud, but Mina was already out of earshot. She never really ever addressed you as such before, and you gave a glance to Toru.
Oh, don't worry, traveler. I'm sure she's joking. Come on, I've been dying to grab a new outfit for a while.
She over-gestured. You smiled at her and gave a nod.
Yeah, let's go.
You agreed as you followed along. It didn't take too long to reach the mall. As usual, the place was crowded. You decided it would be safe to just follow Toru and Mina, as they obviously knew where they were headed. It didn't take you long to figure out where you were headed. Toru and Mina walked into the spa shop as you followed behind. Before you knew it, your hair was being washed and lathered. Mina was talking, but honestly you had no idea what she was saying. After your hair had been washed and tied up in a towel, you sat by Toru and Mina, having your nails done at a manicure.
You could never believe Deku was being lazy. He even turned in his homework late. He's not the only one acting strange either. The whole class lost their lid.
Mina spoke, going on and on about each student in Class 1A. To be honest, she was acting a bit strange herself, but you were not about to suggest it. When your nails were done, however, you turned to Toru.
Hey, Toru, didn't you want to go pick out some new clothes?
You asked. She turns to you, shyly, grabbing her arm, as you noticed by the clothes that she was wearing.
Yeah, sure. If you want to, that is.
She replied, playing with her foot. Normally, Toru was so bold. You forgot that she was invisible sometimes, and here she was, acting like she didn't want to be seen.
Yeah, I want to because you want to.
You said with a smile.
Oh, thank you, traveler.
She spoke meekly. With that, yourself, Mina, and Toru all headed towards the clothes shops nearby. Toru went to go change while you and Mina waited for her. Mina started to look through the clothes and to be honest, you didn't really know what to say from Mina's sudden personality shift. It didn't take long for Toru to pop out. She looked rather adorable, and you gave her a smile.
That looks really cute, Toru,
you said.
Yeah, that top really looks cute. It matches your pretty personality,
Mina said. You began to think that maybe you were wrong about her all day.
Thank you.
Toru went to go change back and purchase the clothes. Mina, however, turned to you with a sneer on her face.
That was the ugliest top I have ever seen,
she commented, causing you to double take.
Excuse you? What's gotten into you? Are you okay, Mina?
You asked, worried and concerned about this spitefulness coming from her. She smiled, except you couldn't tell how genuine it felt.
Whatever do you mean, traveler? I'm perfectly fine. Never better. Say, we should just ditch her. She's being a total loser,
Mina commented again. You shook your head, cross and disappointed.
No thanks. You're being rather mean. I'm just gonna wait for her here,
you said.
Okay, whatever. Bye, loser.
Mina then walked away. You gave a sigh, still waiting for Toru to come out from purchasing her clothes. As soon as she got back, she just remained quiet. You were concerned for both of them.
Hey, are you hungry?
You asked Toru as she gave a nod that you could tell.
Yeah,
she said as you could see her shoulders hitch up.
I'll pay, so get whatever you would like,
you told her.
Thanks, traveler.
Soon the both of you finished your meals and continued to shop around the malls. Toru was still being rather quiet. You were still concerned. Maybe Mina said something mean towards her and that upset her before heading towards the stores. You placed a hand on Toru's head, or hopefully you did at this point, and gave her a warm smile.
Hey, Toru, you know you're a beautiful girl. Your personality is so bright that you just light up the whole room. So if there is something ever troubling you, let me know. I promise I will always be here,
you reassured her. Toru nodded.
Thanks, traveler. I'm fine.
Suddenly she stopped walking after a minute, pausing in place. You noticed as you turned towards her, you were about to ask if she was sure before she herself started speaking.
Actually, I don't feel too good, traveler.
Traveler on record. Who is this that's taking your memories away? Okay, let's see. Let's try another one. Maybe another book? No, I'll keep to this one. There's something going on. It's like it's corrupted. Okay. Let's try you. You gazed around the park with a wonder-struck sigh, gazing at the blooming cherry blossom trees around you. Spring was finally here, and thus the cherry blossoms started blooming, adorning the normally green park with their pink flowers. But this was the first time you'd get to view the cherry blossoms with someone special to you.
Babe!
Kaminari called, waving frantically to try and catch your gaze. The falling cherry blossom petals stuck to his hair, adorning his golden locks with flecks of light pink. You grinned, walking over to the electric boy briskly and pressing a quick kiss to his cheek.
Hi, Denki. You got her quicker than I did.
You laughed, hugging him tightly. Kaminari scowled roughly, ruffling your hair.
I was waiting for a whole damn 30 minutes. Don't keep me waiting next time.
He growled, pushing you away. The moment he realized what he said, he slapped his hand over his mouth as his eyes grew wide.
Denki, are you okay? You sounded kinda like Bakugou there.
You laughed nervously. Kaminari mimicked your nervous laughter, rubbing the back of his neck.
I've been feeling a bit off lately. But that's not the point.
Kaminari grinned, seemingly back to his normal self.
We're here to look at cherry blossoms. Aren't they beautiful, babe?
He cried, throwing out his arms and spinning in a circle. You laughed at his antics as Kaminari engulfed you in a hug, kissing your forehead.
They're lovely.
You chirped, tugging on Kaminari's wrist.
Come on, let's take a walk.
You chuckled. Denki ruffled your hair affectionately, a goofy smile on his face. The sun shone down, shining through the petals and dappling the ground with spots of light. Cherry blossom petals fell around Kaminari and you, painting the sky with their lovely shades of pink. The dirt path was spotted with petals, softening your footfalls onto the hard-packed earth. You looked over at Kaminari, giving his hand a gentle squeeze. He didn't say anything. He just smiled and squeezed your hand back.
Isn't this pretty, Denki?
You sighed in wonder, reaching out your hand to catch a falling petal. Kaminari scoffed, his eyes narrowing.
Too fucking bright. Why do people like this kind of shit?
Suddenly, he froze, his eyes growing wide.
Denki?
He stumbled, gripping your shoulders tightly. He gazed at you, desperately, his golden eyes filled with tears, breath hitching as if he was in pain.
I don't feel so good.
I'm getting closer.
No, this is not happening. Okay. Okay. No. I am not losing you. I am not losing this. I am not losing another one. Okay. Let's try. Okay, let's try this one. Let's try this one. Okay.
Todoroki nudged your shoulder, snapping you out of your hazy daydream. You blinked your eyes rapidly of what visions or haze you had clouding them before you rubbed them from the exhaustion they held.
Are you all right?
He asked with concern. His soft voice calmed what little nerves you had through your body, smiling nervously in response.
Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry.
You apologized while you rubbed the back of your neck out of habit.
Maybe the physical test is getting to me.
You couldn't shake what feeling this was that permeated through your chest and your spine, but you felt a hand grip onto your shoulder. Turning to Todoroki, who sported a smile on his face.
It's alright.
He reassured.
We're partners. We'll do fine.
Looking into his eyes made you smile. There were moments you felt that you saw a twinkle in them every now and then, and you cherished those moments, committing them to memory as best you could. Even though you felt anxious, both you and Todoroki had been putting in some extra hours into training to prep for this physical test Aizawa threw at the class last week. I hope he's not bringing in any more robots this time, you wished in passing. It's tough, but I think it's getting stale?
Perhaps,
replied Todoroki with a chuckle.
Better than pitting against each other like every other day.
You stopped, taken aback by Todoroki's reply.
Was that a joke?
Todoroki, too, stopped in his tracks. There was something amiss, and he felt it. He never really did tell jokes, at least not intentionally. Did he just say that? He found it funny. Attempting to ignore his thoughts, he turned to face you, his nonchalant expression still present on his face, but also confused on what you said. Almost immediately, you smiled and shook your head.
Never mind. Forget what I said.
You spoke, backtracking your thoughts and continuing the walk towards Gym Gamma. It was nearing the start of fall, and the orange and brown hues decorated Heights Alliance, the maple leaves swaying in the trees ready to fall. It wasn't long until you spotted your fellow classmates also on their way to the test, waving at Midoriya, Uraraka, and Iida in the distance.
Come on, Shouto!
You called out, turning towards him on the laneway towards UA. Throughout the walk, you had skipped ahead of him, partly out of nervousness to get rid of that skittish energy that jumped around inside. You reached out for his hand as you twisted your body towards him, only to notice that he was still, unmoving. You approached him slowly, each step cautious while you inspected his form.
Shouto?
You asked, your voice slow.
Are you alright?
Suddenly, Midoriya's voice caught you off guard, calling out to the both of you in the distance. You turned towards him momentarily to spot his hand in the air, until you heard Todoroki's body shift.
What's the matter?
He asked, his voice light. With your eyes back onto him, you felt lost and confused. There on his face laid an unnerving smile. He looked joyful, but his body seemed stiff, as if it was working against him.
Is there something wrong?
He asked again, lifting his hand to his cheek almost giddily.
No?
You answered, uncertain of what to make of Todoroki's sudden change in behavior. You continued to slowly approach him, reaching your hand up to him, yet fearful to near him any closer.
Maybe we should join the others.
You turned immediately to make your way to your group of friends, until something tightly gripped your wrist, stopping you in your tracks. A laugh slowly erupted from Todoroki's throat. It almost curdled deep within before he pulled you back towards him, holding on to you in his embrace. The smile on his face grew. If it wasn't for how joyous it looked, it felt cold and forced.
Won't you stay with me, my darling?
He mused, before he started to slowly dance with you in the middle of the laneway.
For a little while.
You followed suit, but quickly looked around for anyone who would notice this bizarre display of affection. It was then you realized that no one was around. There was not a soul at Heights Alliance. Even Midoriya, Uraraka, and Iida were nowhere to be found, as if you were the only two souls that lingered in the middle of the school's premises.
No, this is not how it goes.
Your heart quickened. Those nerves that didn't sit with you well before had returned tenfold, while Todoroki still led you into this strange waltz, his giddy smile still painted on his face.
Shouto, we're going to be late for this test!
You argued, attempting to get through to him. All he did was chuckle before he twirled you on the spot and returned you into his arms.
Traveler, you have all the time in the world,
he reassured with a grin, still swaying you on the spot.
Can't you hear it?
Still confused, you tried to listen to what Todoroki was speaking of, but heard nothing. His eyes held no life in them despite his smile. That twinkle you saw before was dulled.
No, not here too. Not this one too.
Feeling uneasy, you tried to pull away from him, only to feel his grip tighten on your wrist. You winced from the strength he held before he neared his face towards yours, that smile still present.
You have to listen to me. You have to get away from here.
Shouto?
You have to. It's getting dark. You need to go. Leave.
The sky above turned into a purple hue as if the sun had already set, and the maple leaves were ripped from their branches, floating across the bricked laneway that began to darken into the abyss. Everywhere you looked, the darkness began to engulf Heights Alliance and UA, reaching towards the epicenter where the both of you stood. Suddenly you watched as the darkness reached out to Todoroki, engulfing him into it before he released your hand.
Go, traveler!
His smile betrayed the voice he called before he was sent into the dark. But before he disappeared, you jumped right after him, grabbing his hand and being pulled into the dark, refusing to let him go.
No, I won't leave!
As if a force grabbed onto you, you felt your body rip away from him. Now in the dark, alone.
Alone. Alone? No, you can't be alone.
Now, my dear, don't be so stubborn. All good things come to an end. Accept it.
One more. One more? Maybe this one. Maybe this one.
Huh? Toku's mule caught you by surprise as a black cat jumped onto your lap, rubbing her head against your hand that hovered in front of you. You almost jumped, if not for the weight of Toka keeping your legs from flinging her across the room. Your heart slowed after it had skipped a beat or two before you sighed, petting Toka's head in response to her need for attention. You sat cross-legged on Shinsou's messy bed, having spent most of the Saturday afternoon helping him study for extra credit on a few subjects. The boy sat at his desk, his hand roughly combing that mop of hair of his while he reviewed his notes. Despite you being from the hero course, he was very open about a few things that had occurred over the course of your time together. The fact that Aizawa, your homeroom teacher, was training him personally was a surprise to you. Although now that you thought about it, he did bulk up when you officially started to hang around each other more often. Still, there wasn't an official label on this friendship, and despite some of the questions that would crop up in your mind, you did your best to be as present as possible. Toka continued to crave attention from you as she continued to rub against your hands, looking up at you with her blue eyes every so often for some recognition. You couldn't help but smile at the little bundle while you continued to give her affection. A slightly frustrated grumble took your eyes away from the cat and onto the back of Shinsou, his hand still rubbing his head. He continued to read the notes, but his mind was elsewhere, focusing on something gnawing inside him, like faint echoes of a repetitive sound bouncing around. It started this morning, except it came and went. At first he thought nothing of it, maybe his mind playing tricks. He had a few close all-nighters this week, so he attributed it to a lack of proper sleep. But the sound persisted, this ticking, and a voice, rough and husky, speaking to him. Whether it was taunting him or warning him, he couldn't tell. It almost sounded like the walking explosion to him.
Who are you?
You've been staring at the same set of notes for the past 15 minutes,
you stated with a lopsided smile.
Maybe you need a break.
Shinsou's eyes blinked as he pulled himself away from the set of papers that he had indeed been staring at for who knew how long.
Yeah,
he slowly replied while he pinched the bridge of his nose and rubbed the back of his neck from the stiffness it suffered.
How long have we been here for?
Since 1.
You replied immediately.
It's now 5, and I think you haven't left that seat this whole time. Except for essentials, or to just pace the room.
Shinsou turned to you with his tired eyes, quizzically while he stared.
You've been taking notes?
For your studies, yeah. But if you're questioning my observations, it's literally what you've been doing this whole time.
Shinsou's shoulders dropped in slight defeat before he pulled his chair away from his desk to walk towards you on his bed. With a flop, he sat by the edge before he threw his back onto the sheets, opening his arms out wide in relief. Immediately, Toka leapt from your lap and trotted towards Shinsou, curling herself next to his chest under his arms, sprawled out. Sensing her presence, Shinsou immediately lifted his hand towards her and gently scratched her back.
Want me to leave?
You asked politely, looking down at the exhausted boy.
Can lock the door and leave you to rest for a bit.
No, don't,
he lazily replied.
We never really hung out today.
Hey, this is still hanging out. I'm happy to help and just chill.
A smirk appeared on Shinsou's lips as he looked up at you with his lazy eyes.
You're too good to me.
And you tease me enough for me to stay.
You retaliated, sticking your tongue out in good measure. A chuckle escaped from Shinsou while he stared up at the ceiling, content in the company he currently kept. Until the ticking returned, louder than before, echoing in his mind on repeat.
Ask them, stay or go. Ask them.
Shinsou blinked his eyes, rubbing them profusely with his arm while he grumbled.
Shinsou, are you sure you just need some sleep?
You asked, concerned about his state of being. Shinsou grumbled again while his hand laid atop Toka's body until the black cat's ears quickly perked from her relaxed form. She twitched and immediately jumped onto her haunches, shocking Shinsou as he retracted his hand from her. He peeked at her momentarily, catching her blue eyes, and to be met by a menacing hiss.
Toka,
he whispered, confused, as the black cat continued to hiss, her usually fluffy tail standing on end and the fur on her back rising on point.
What's wrong?
She backed away from Shinsou, hopping off of the bed and stood before the both of you, scared, terrified.
Toka?
You spoke, attempting to approach the cat with a cautious hand, slowly stepping closer towards her. Before you could comprehend what was going on, Toka darted away, finding a spot in Shinsou's room out of sight from the both of you, before a choked cry escaped Shinsou's throat. You turned to find Shinsou strung up on his bed, something wrapped around his body, taking his limbs as if he were a marionette. He pulled against the force, his physical training giving him the advantage he needed to resist. But it wasn't enough when he felt this force tighten around him. What villain was this?
Leave. Leave. Get out.
Traveler, get out of here!
Yelled Shinsou.
Go!
As if your legs had a mind of their own, you ran for Shinsou's dorm door, swinging it open to run and find help. Someone in Class 1C must be nearby. As the thought passed through your mind, you were greeted by only darkness, an emptiness that stretched forever while you teetered over the edge of the door frame. What happened to the hallway? To the dorms? You stared into the abyss, wondering what was going on, only for someone to push you from behind.
No!
Your body twisted from the fall, finding Shinsou with his arms outstretched before him. There were signs of strings tied around him, on his arms, on his body. Moments felt like hours while the thought passed through your mind that it was he that pushed you. Suddenly, while your arms were outstretched in your fall, Shinsou grabbed a hold of them, gripping onto you above the bottomless pit of darkness outside his dorm door. You swung from the doorframe, watching as the strings that wrapped around Shinsou suddenly tightened, causing the boy to choke. Black ink dripped onto his skin, yet he ignored them, as if they didn't exist. Shinsou struggled to keep his grip while the strings tightened. You felt the strength he had faltering, while your arm slowly began to slip through his fingers. It was quiet.
Make a choice! We really need to stop meeting like this,
he murmured under his breath. You watched the strings continue to encircle and engulf his frame, tightening in places that caused him to wince. The light from his room was all you could see in a sea of black.
You didn't steal anything from me.
You spoke, your voice echoing in the dark. Through the shadows, you watched Shinsou's lips curl into a smirk.
Your porridge will always be slimy,
he teased in response.
I still have that sweater,
you retorted with a small smile.
No more all-nighters, I promise,
he continued with a chuckle.
except for movies, maybe?
Maybe not scary ones. I don't want another punch in the face.
An overwhelming feeling of happiness washed over you while the both of you chuckled together. However, the strings continued to wrap around Shinsou, his eyes straining in pain. His arms began to shake, losing the strength to keep a hold of you.
Please, don't let go. I have to let you go,
you whispered. Shinsou's eyes widened upon hearing those words. His grip suddenly tightened, his fingers almost digging into your skin.
He asked you to ask me, didn't he?
You continued, tears streaming down your cheek. You felt Shinsou froze in place, staring at you in disbelief, his head shaking. It was just a few all-nighters causing all of that noise in his head. Nothing more, he thought.
No, just pull yourself up,
he yelled.
I didn't mean to push you. I didn't. Something's in my head, and I can't get rid of it.
I'll find you again,
you reassured, smiling through the tears.
I'll find my way back. Until then, keep being the hero you were born to be. No,
whispered Shinsou through gritted teeth.
I'll find you.
With a saddened smile, you allowed your weight to pull against Shinsou's hold to the point that his strength could no longer maintain its grip. Yet a glimmer of red caught your eye, faint in its vibrance, but it twirled around your arms and his, before you locked your eyes on his violet ones.
Thank you.
Down. 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 You fell into the depths until the light of his room no longer caught your eye. You no longer could see any light. All that surrounded you was black, ripped away from the connections you made, the relationships you nurtured, the friendships you harbored, until that vibrant red returned, encircling around your pinky finger as you continued to fall. It glowed somehow, while those last moments still played in the forefront of your mind. The darkness began to disperse, slowly, as light began to seep through, blinding you before a warmth engulfed your body like a blanket on a winter's day, until
Hey, traveler!
called out a friend from across the cobblestone pavement. You perked out of your thoughts, realizing you had been standing by the edge of the city park's pond for some time, staring off into the school of koi that swam around.
Oh, sorry,
you called back, walking up to the group behind you, waiting by an ice cream stall.
What flavor do you want?
One of your friends asked.
Oh, surprise me,
you responded.
I'm not fussy.
You inwardly sighed. You couldn't remember what you were thinking. It almost felt like you were daydreaming. If it were, it wasn't on happy things.
Okay, but don't blame us if you hate it.
You snapped back to your group of friends who handed you an ice cream cone. Whatever the flavor was, you were pleasantly surprised. At least your friends weren't going to make it an awful experience. Your entire Saturday was spent with your close-knit group of friends who decided to just have a chill day around the city, settling in the park to enjoy some well-needed rest and relaxation. For you, though, you felt the day was a little mundane. It was great to spend some well-deserved downtime with friends, but there was something that gnawed at the back of your mind, as if there was something else you needed to do. While your group walked ahead filled with giggles and chatter, you lingered behind, eating the rest of your ice cream cone in thought. A gentle gust of wind caught your attention as a tiny pink petal floated before you, dancing in the light breeze. You turned towards where it came from, finding a row of cherry blossoms still in bloom shake in the wind, the pink petals cascading from its branches. The cobblestones that led through them were covered in petals, vibrant pink decorating between the stones. As if the world stood still, you started to make your way onto the road, watching the blossoms shed its petals almost in perpetual motion. Wait, are you here? You make your way through the cherry blossom trees that looked to be losing their petals. What was strange was that there was an abundance of them, and in the peak of summer still blooming was a little off. In the distance, a spire towered over the sea of pink. However, it was attached to something broken. A rooftop? Since when were there ever buildings in the city park?
Hey guys, you should come see.
You turned to find that the laneway you came from had disappeared, replaced by the long and ever-winding road of cherry blossom trees that attracted you here. Your eyes scanned around, and there was no sign of anybody but you. The spire still piqued your interest, making your way towards it in a light jog through the one road leading there. The end of the cherry blossom trees opened up, and in a wash of light, you found a tall manor, overgrown with nature, covered in moss and vine, and its rooftop caved in from who knew what disaster befell it. No, it can't be. You're here? You're here? You took in the sight. It looked magnificent, but still intrigued your mind. Wondering how something of this magnitude could be in the middle of the city park, untouched and unseen, you slowly make your way towards the front courtyard, finding it bare and empty before your eyes fell upon the large double doors covered in moss. Traveler, you're here. You're finally here. Please, just wait a little while longer. I'll let you in. You need to know. You need...
Nothing like a bit of TLC. After all, that is what she is. A weaver of lies and deceit. All of her stories disappearing. How her precious archive is no longer here to comfort her weeping, empty heart. She's just a poor lost soul, weeping for old memories. And yet, she is sly.
Better that way. It surprises me that she could take after me.
Ah, Pan. How nice of you to interrupt. Isn't that against your moral and ethical high ground?
You're the one causing this imbalance here. Hopping onto their stream that you have no right to.
Right. Who said I was right?
Many rights make a wrong, but you're just turning left way too many times. You mutinied this stream. She has nothing to do with...
Come now, Fox. If anyone shouldn't be meddling, it'd be you. Dear traveler, please don't misunderstand. She is a deceiver. I am the truth. Follow me into a little corner of time, And I'll assure you that you'll meet some familiar friends along the way. Besides, you have no choice. I wish I gave you options, but you've run out of them. Do not worry. It'll be a little topsy-turvy, upsy-daisy. Never a dull moment. Your world, or however many there will be, will need to be turned upside down. I'm searching for my winter. But do not worry, it will not burn you.
Leave now.
Dear traveler, welcome to my wonderland.
She's right, though. All of your options have been exhausted. I can't help you, but you are a strong one. Stronger than most that have walked this path. Crossed mine, too. I'll keep a close eye on you, but best be sure that I will not be giving you a helping hand. I've done that once. I can't do that again. Unless you see something I don't. Sometimes the voices tell me not to tell you. I've already done enough to mess with time. Any more and I'll have a few more screws loose. Now, we don't want that, do we? No, I meant the clock and my brain. The choices, whatever they may be from here on out, are yours to make. Whichever directions I point out to you are your only options. Keep your head high and on your shoulders, please. I don't want to take care of it rolling away. And keep that pinky of yours close, too. Find your way back to her voice. Time and tide waits for no one.